One of the most powerful yet underappreciated tools for enhancing your ability to focus begins not with your brain itself, but with your eyes. The human visual system is not just for perceiving the outside world. It is a direct gateway into the brain's alertness and attention systems. What many people don't realize is that your eyes are actually part of your central nervous system. During embryonic development, the eyes emerge from the brain and remain directly connected to it throughout life. This connection allows light, captured through the eyes, to influence profound changes in brain chemistry and neural circuitry. In particular, there's a very important neural pathway called the retinohypothalamic tract. This is a bundle of nerve fibers that sends information from specific cells in the retina, namely intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells (iPRGCS), directly to the brain's master circadian clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. When these retinal cells are stimulated by natural light, especially early in the day, they signal to the SCN that it's time to be awake, alert, and focused. This is a critical reset mechanism for the brain and body each morning. Here's why this matters. Your ability to focus is deeply intertwined with your internal biological rhythms, which are primarily set by light exposure. When you view sunlight, especially bright sunlight, within the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking, you activate this retinohypothalamic tract and initiate a cascade of events that prime your body and brain for the day. You increase the release of cortisol, not the stress-inducing kind people often worry about, but a healthy time-locked cortisol pulse that promotes wakefulness, enhances mood, and elevates mental clarity. Just one morning of viewing sunlight shortly after waking can improve your energy levels, your mood, and your cognitive performance across the day. This single act serves as a kind of visual reset for your entire brain. It anchors your circadian rhythm, which in turn regulates your sleep, your hormonal balance, and your capacity to concentrate and stay mentally agile. This is not subjective or speculative. It's based on decades of research from fields like chronobiology, neuroendocrinology, and behavioral neuroscience. Many people make the mistake of reaching for caffeine first thing in the morning, hoping it will jumpstart their attention. But caffeine acts downstream in the alertness system. If you haven't first triggered that early morning light exposure, caffeine can act more like a blunt instrument than a fine-tuned tool. Without the initial light signal, your internal clock drifts. Your brain doesn't know what time it is, biologically speaking, and that leads to fragmented attention during the day, difficulty falling asleep at night, and poorer focus over time. It's important to be specific here. The light you need to view must be outdoor light. Even on a cloudy day, natural sunlight is significantly brighter and more effective at stimulating the iPRGC than any indoor artificial lighting. 10 minutes of outdoor light on a clear day, or 20 to 30 minutes on an overcast one, is often sufficient. You don't need to stare directly at the sun. In fact, you shouldn't. But you do want to be outside without sunglasses, allowing that natural light to reach your eyes. Glass windows filter out many of the frequencies needed to activate these retinal cells properly. The key point is this: viewing morning sunlight even once can begin to shift your biology in the right direction. It's a single action that has compound effects. It improves your focus that day, helps you fall asleep more easily that night, and with repeated exposure, it trains your brain to enter deeper states of concentration more effortlessly. It sets the foundation for long-term focus, not through forcing your mind to work harder, but by aligning your physiology with how it's naturally designed to operate. People often look for hacks or shortcuts to improve their productivity, but this isn't a hack. This is fundamental biology. This is you working with your system, not against it, and the beauty of it is that you only have to try it once to start feeling the difference. For some, the effect is immediate: greater clarity, improved mood, reduced brain fog. For others, the benefit builds over a few days of consistent practice, but in either case it starts with one act, stepping outside and letting the light do its job. This is the visual reset. It's simple. It's free, and it's one of the most scientifically grounded methods we have to enhance focus, alertness, and cognitive performance. The ability to focus, to sustain attention on a task without being distracted, is not simply a matter of motivation or willpower. It's governed by very specific neural circuits in the brain. One of the most important areas involved in this process is a structure called the anterior midcingulate cortex. This region sits near the middle of the brain and plays a critical role in top-down control, meaning it helps you override distractions, stay on task, and carry out goal-directed behavior even in the face of competing demands or internal resistance. What's fascinating is that the anterior midcingulate cortex isn't just active when you're paying attention. It becomes particularly engaged when you're exerting effort, especially cognitive effort. Think of it as the mental grip strength center of your brain. It doesn't just decide what to focus on, it helps maintain that focus even when it gets hard. This is why it's often referred to as a control node. It monitors conflicts, evaluates difficulty, and helps allocate neural resources so you can stay engaged with what matters. Now, what's really interesting from the research is that even a single session of deep, focused work can begin to strengthen this system. Just one bout of sustained attention, free from multitasking, interruptions, or distractions, creates measurable changes in how your brain functions. It's like lifting a heavy weight once. You may not see visible muscle growth immediately, but you've sent a powerful signal to your nervous system that strength is required here. When you engage in what's known as a 90-minute ultradian cycle of uninterrupted, deliberate work, you stimulate activity in not only the anterior midcingulate cortex, but also its connected networks, including the prefrontal cortex and dorsal attention networks. These systems collectively support what's called executive function, the ability to plan, prioritize, and persist. Even one high-quality focus session activates and strengthens these pathways. What counts as a high-quality session? It's simple. Choose one cognitively demanding task, remove all distractions, no phone, no multitasking tabs, no background media, and engage with the task for 90 minutes. That could be writing, coding, designing, reading technical material, anything that requires sustained mental effort. What you're doing in that session is teaching your brain how to suppress irrelevant inputs and hold a cognitive frame over time. You're reinforcing the neural circuitry responsible for what we call top-down regulation, directing your attention deliberately rather than letting the environment dictate it. People often underestimate how quickly the brain can learn to focus better. There's a term in neuroscience, experience-dependent plasticity. It means that the brain changes in response to how it's used. When you train it to concentrate deeply, even once, you begin laying down new patterns of activity, new associations, and crucially, new levels of tolerance for cognitive strain. The anterior midcingulate cortex literally becomes more efficient at allocating effort. The next time you sit down to focus, the resistance is slightly lower. Over time, this builds into a stable neural trait. Now, it's important to acknowledge that this process requires friction. Focus is not always pleasurable in the moment. In fact, when the anterior midcingulate cortex is active, it's often accompanied by a sensation of mental strain or effort. That's not a sign that something's wrong, it's a sign that the brain is adapting. We now know that one of the key drivers of performance improvement is volitional engagement with effort, choosing to do the hard thing not because you're forced to, but because you recognize the benefit of doing so. And it's worth mentioning, just like you wouldn't expect to get physically stronger without applying resistance to your muscles, you can't expect your brain to get better at focusing if you're constantly switching tasks or avoiding discomfort. The anterior midcingulate cortex thrives on challenge. It learns best when you push it a little beyond your current capacity. Try it once, one uninterrupted session of real, focused work. You may be surprised at what happens. You'll likely experience some internal resistance at first. that urge to check your phone, jump to another tab, or take a quick break. But if you stay with the task and push through that friction, you're actively building the neural wiring required for better focus. And your brain will remember it. The next time you need to engage in deep work, the circuitry will already be primed. It will feel more familiar, less effortful, and more accessible. In essence, you're giving your brain a reference point, a template for what sustained attention feels like. And with that template in place, focus stops being something you chase and becomes something you access more naturally. It starts with just one session, and that one experience can change your cognitive trajectory. Breathing is one of the most overlooked but profoundly powerful tools for controlling your mind. It's something we do without thinking, but when used deliberately, it can help us regulate our emotional states, enhance focus, and even optimize performance. One of the most effective and scientifically backed breathing techniques I often recommend is the physiological sigh, a simple yet powerful method to immediately calm the mind and regain control over attention. The physiological sigh is a natural, automatic response your body uses to reset itself when it's under stress or needs a quick moment of relief. It's a two-part breath, 2 inhales through the nose followed by a slow, controlled exhale through the mouth. This process seems almost trivial, but when you understand the neurobiological mechanisms behind it, you'll appreciate how effective it is at regulating the nervous system and improving focus. To begin, let's break down what happens inside your body when you engage in this type of breathing. The first part of the sigh, the double inhale, lacks to increase lung capacity and stimulates the brain's regulatory systems. As you inhale deeply through the nose twice, you engage both the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles, the muscles between your ribs, which allows more air to reach the deeper regions of the lungs, increasing oxygen exchange. This action also sends signals to the brain that you're in control and taking charge of your body's state. The second part of the sigh, the slow, controlled exhale, serves to release carbon dioxide and activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your autonomic nervous system responsible for relaxation. When you exhale fully, especially in a controlled, prolonged manner, your body is signaling to your brain that it's time to shift from a stress response often controlled by the sympathetic nervous system or the fight or flight system to a more calm, relaxed state. Here's the interesting part. When you do this just once, you create an immediate physiological shift. You lower your heart rate, reduce muscle tension, and calm the overactive areas of the brain that are responsible for stress and anxiety. You engage the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for higher order thinking, planning, and decision making. By doing so, you can actually improve your focus. When you calm the mind, your attention becomes sharper. You can think more clearly, make better decisions, and tackle difficult tasks with a greater sense of composure. This simple physiological reset has been shown to have remarkable benefits. Research into breathing techniques has demonstrated that people who engage in controlled, intentional breathing, such as the physiological sigh, and lower their baseline levels of stress and anxiety, improve cognitive performance, and increase emotional regulation. It's not just about feeling better in the moment, it's about retraining the body and brain to operate in a more efficient and controlled manner over time. The beauty of the physiological sigh is its simplicity and immediacy. Unlike other stress, reducing techniques that require sustained practice or equipment like meditation or physical exercise, this method can be performed in just a few seconds, anywhere, and at any time. Whether you're about to give a presentation, need to refocus during a work session, or are simply feeling overwhelmed by stress, taking a few breaths to engage the physiological sigh can instantly improve your ability to stay calm and focused. This is especially powerful in high pressure environments where stress can hijack your ability to focus. For example, when you're in a meeting trying to solve a complex problem or handling multiple tasks at once, stress levels can rise quickly, diminishing your ability to concentrate. But by activating the physiological sigh, you immediately reduce that mental clutter, allowing you to return to the task with greater mental clarity. The effects of the physiological sigh are also cumulative. When you practice this technique regularly, you train your body to become more resilient to stress over time. The more you use the sigh, the more efficient your autonomic nervous system becomes at regulating itself, reducing the need for constant intervention. This means that eventually, even in stressful situations, your body can more effectively downregulate, helping you stay calm, collected, and focused without consciously thinking about it. Another key benefit of the physiological sigh is that it improves your breathing patterns overall. Many people, especially in stressful or demanding situations, tend to breathe in a shallow, rapid manner. This can increase feelings of anxiety and make it harder to focus. By engaging in deep, controlled breath, particularly with the double inhale and slow exhale, you train yourself to breathe more deeply and effectively, which not only helps with stress management, but also improves overall physical health. So the next time you find yourself becoming overwhelmed, distracted, or stressed, try the physiological sigh. Just 2 deep inhales through your nose, followed by a slow, controlled exhale through your mouth. Try it once, see how quickly your brain shifts from a state of anxiety to a more focused, calm state. It's a quick tool that, when used regularly, can have profound effects on your mental clarity and ability to stay on task. In summary, breathing isn't just a passive act. It's a tool that you can command. The physiological sigh is an incredibly simple, effective method to lower stress, calm the mind, and improve your focus. The next time you feel your attention drifting or your stress levels rising, remember this powerful tool. It works instantly and has lasting effects on your ability to stay sharp and present, no matter what challenges lie ahead.